All right. Happy Tuesday, Dr. Cody. How are we doing today?
Effing fantastic.
Effing fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a great word. That's a great word. Me too. Honestly. I'm excited because it is race week. It's Monaco Grand Prix this weekend. So that's why I'm dressed like I'm a race car driver. In another life, I am and was. But hey, everybody, we're going to be talking today to start off this week for the content. Healing is the new hustle, the burnout cure no one's really talking about. And what we mean by this, why we're talking about this is because I don't know about you, Dr. Cody, but I have a lot of clients in different areas of work and business who really complain about being overworked, burnout, all these different challenges that they're having, whether they are an entrepreneur or not. It doesn't matter what kind of business they're in. There's a lot of people that are having a lot of burnout, overworking, not having enough time, just always rushed and pressured, right? And they're so up in their head. So I really wanted to talk about, I'm curious, what is healing is the new hustle mean to you? For you and I to redefine this and create a new norm.
Well, let's start by dropping into some vulnerability. Is 3 weeks ago, I was playing pickleball and tore my calf muscle. And it's like pickleball. I play pickleball 3 times a week. I mountain bike, and I really want to drop into this with people because so many people like look at the physical and think the physical is the cause. And the moment I heard my calf rip, it ripped and it popped. I knew but I want to kind of process with everyone. First thing I did was I went right home and I dropped in and I was present with myself for the entire day. And I did that because I was referencing how I popped it. I was moving really quickly to the side. I made too quick of a turn and tore the muscle. And I go,
yeah,
since your body's a loudspeaker of you, your body is a loudspeaker of you. That's what this is really about. I realized, oh my God, where am I turning too quickly? Okay. And so our body, this is a cool topic. Our body is in the time and space continuum. Many of us, including myself, have lived outside of time. I've lived 2 years from now. I lived two decades ago. And so what I realized was when I'm not here, the body, the physical matter can't move outside of time and space. You're going to cause some injury, right? So healing is the new hustle. And what I think this means to me is I really tuned in. You and I got to chat about this is I got to stop and I realized when I move fast, when I try to move fast, I'm actually going slow. And when I stop and get present in the moment, that's actually moving fast. And I think that relates to what this topic is.
It totally does. Thank you for that. And by the way, I hope you're really healing up better. I know you're getting better and better, but for an active guy like you, anybody, it sucks to be in that place, but it's also a great time to reflect. So I wanted to add in a few things onto that fire. So just some stats, 76% of US workers report burnout and over 40% say it's directly related to emotional exhaustion and mental stress. Right. And a study by the Harvard Business Review found that founders, entrepreneurs, C-level people with unprocessed trauma are more likely to exhibit impulsive leadership, poor hiring decisions, and burnout cycles. And over 50% of adults are now using substances, alcohol, food, technology, other substances as coping mechanisms for chronic stress. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people who are distracting themselves with other things, which brings us back to, there are the other people who are, seeing that healing is a new hustle. Healing has got to be baked into what we're doing, into our lifestyles and all that. Success without healing is like self-sabotage in disguise, right? So let's get into this a little bit deeper then. Why are so many high performers silently struggling?
Yeah, this reminds me of this. You add some great statistics. Let me add one more to that.
Yeah.
What is the percentage of all doctors' visits in America? What's the percentage of all doctors' visits that are due to emotional stress?
Due to emotional stress, they like percentage.
Yeah, according to multiple medical journals, what is the percentage of all doctors' visits, no matter what it is, that are actually due to emotional stress?
Let's say 37%.
That's a good guess, man. 75 to 90%.
Oh my God. That was way
Okay.
off.
This the American Institute of Stress, and there's a ton
Yeah.
of journals. And this has been a stat. We've known this for 20 years.
Yeah.
So what I want to bring up though in this is understand that what we should probably define stress and emotions and energy and those things, but for the average person, we haven't been shown how to feel an emotion, and so emotions get unprocessed. And what happens is they get to be pushed down. Whatever gets repressed will get expressed, right?
Yeah.
That's the root of disease. You know how many people are spending billions of dollars trying to find a cure for cancer? We still haven't found it because you're not going to look for it with more money. You don't find it with more money, right? And so if that many doctor's visits are due to stress, isn't it interesting that almost none of doctors' visits deal with managing stress? So you have an emotional cause and a chemical solution. Now you start seeing where our country goes.
Yep. And on top of that, so much of, like, especially for the people in the workforce in your career, self-worth is tied to output. If I'm not producing, I'm not valuable, right? The society, business has really shifted the self-worth to be outside of ourselves, which number one, big mistake, right? That's wrong. And that our value is not from here, that it's our results that we do, our bank account, all these other external things. So, and I really want to say, like, why the go harder mindset is outdated for 2025. Fuck that. Like, this whole go harder, hustle thing. Yes, I know there's some of you entrepreneurs and some of these leaders out there just say you got to crank and grind and all that. There is a time for hard work, and with an element of an awareness of your nervous system, your body, and balance, meditation, time in the silence. You can't just keep cranking. It's not sustainable. That's why we keep having people with freaking burnout, over exhaustion, taking pills, all that stuff. So this is part of our regulating the nervous system, and also realizing that, man, there's a lot of childhood survival strategies that become adult tactics. Right. In this whole conversation, when we're not acting like our adult self, but we need to show up like our adult self, our younger childhood survival mechanisms are still active because we didn't go back and tell them, oh, by the way, I'm grown up now. It's okay. Now that's a deep dive hole there, but I'm just pointing out, we're trying to get to the root of burnout, the root of this overwhelm that is all over the place, pretty rampant.
Geez, man, you brought up a whole, like, 10 more topics.
True. I'm good at that.
All of that. we tend to do that, which gives us unlimited content. But that is so let's look at this then. What is the solution? I want to say this because I probably should look this up, but it's my understanding that before 1970, doctors were talking to people. Now, what do I mean by that? They were required to talk. They were actually required to talk, right? So there was very different practices. There was much more time spent listening. Okay, and they were around the 1970s that changed. So where there's no more listening anymore, right? So it's like, cool. You go to the doctor, and there's no, like, there's not, like, what are the things it does is that I think it subverts the purpose. It subverts the human function, meaning, if you put attention on your physical form as the cause, you never actually find the cause. So,
like, for example, I fell and hurt like a physical thing happens, and then people relate it. Oh, and that's why this is hurt, or oh, I bent over a weird way, and then my back's hurting. Like that physical realm you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's and I was reading some stats on this. It was that was before 1970. By 1980. It was basically insurance systems, pharmaceutical marketing, and new medical protocols shifted towards the faster, symptom-focused visits. And so there became less and less time for the root cause exploration. And that's really what occurred. So I want people to know that, like, our system used to be set up that when you went to your doctor, you had someone to talk to. Like, there's no one. You go to your doctor, you're not talking to your doctor. They're not listening to you. Matter of fact,
you're in the waiting room for 30 minutes. They're behind schedule. In fact, they're rushed. You feel rushed most of the time. I'm not going to generalize. There's doctors out there that are great, and majority of people's experience is the latter.
Yeah, And in all fairness to doctors, medical doctors specifically, people are not looking for a cause. Just so we're just gonna be fair right across the board. No one comes in and goes, "Doc, I really define this root cause." It's more like, "Doc, what can you do to get rid of the symptom?" Like, it's people have been educated like that, right? So,
How do we
so
how
just
do we how do we get rid of this pain real fast? How do I get
yeah.
past this pain, right? How do I get to that end result, because we're so impatient and
So
we have results. We want results like that.
exactly. So kind of tying this topic in, right? Where we're going with this is, the sort of the dropping into feeling and being present with yourself is the new hustle, meaning the healing inside. So if you don't stop to feel yourself, life is going to stop and make you feel yourself.
Yep.
That's what I found out. So you don't have to do this.
You don't have to,
But
but if you want to save hundreds, thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars,
yeah,
if you want to save time, energy, money, listen. We're going to talk about
yes,
some things that are going to actually allow you to heal yourself, because you and I believe we truly are super healers of our bodies, our minds,
for
everything.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So kind of feeling into this with what I told you guys about my calf muscle, I had so many people that were like, "Did you get an MRI?" Nope. You didn't get a scan? Are you taking glucosamine? Nope. Are you? It's all these physical things, and I was like, why do I need to scan to tell me what's going on? What I needed to do was stop and actually drop into myself. If I didn't drop into what was going on inside my reality, now in my reality, I was moving in a place in my business where I was trying to force quick changes, and I wasn't stopping to listen. So that's
Yep.
the illusion: is you're going to move quick by being busy, but it's probably like the old story of my daughter had her play, The Tortoise and the Hare. She was like, they did a little rabbit. Remember The Tortoise and the Hare, where it was like
Yep.
the rabbit was really freaking cocky. So he went way ahead and he just took a nap under the tree. And the tortoise slowly went past the hare
Yep.
and won the race, right? So it's a funny old adage, but what do you do? Personally, I've been stopping and asking, am I present? When I was playing pickleball, I wasn't in my body. I was literally in the evening, already home.
Already in the
And
future state.
already in the future. Yep.
Yeah. I
Yep.
want to add to that by
Yeah.
just what you're talking about here. This is in reference. The mind basically screams, the body whispers,
Hmm.
right? The mind can scream. It's loud. There's a lot of noise there. It's very clear. You hear the voice in your head, but the body whispers. And so we've got to be able to listen, like you're talking about, scanning our own body, listening before it collapses. So this technique we're talking about, or what we're talking about here, is literally that's how we've got to be. Is like, you weren't present, you were in the future, you were in a future state, which can cause stress and anxiety. And it came out in a way of telling your body, saying, "Hey, you're not listening to me. I need you to be here." And so the more we can be present, the more that we can be in stillness and silence and ask, "Hey, what is this body part?" I do this every single day with my hip that I've been healing, which is 86% better already, just
Mm-hmm.
from the work that I've been doing.
Yeah.
But it's so important to have that time to listen. And before, when I say things collapse, things get worse, pain gets worse, chronic things build in. So right around there, like, you just weren't listening to your brain might have been screaming. We can all fall into this challenge, right? It's a constant game. It's a constant practice. I don't know anybody that's quite mastered that all the way, but we got to be in continual practice of mastery for that.
Yeah. Beautiful. And in all fairness to share, I had tension, this achy tension in my Achilles and my calves for at least 4 months. And the reason I reference that is what I've noticed is the universe talks to us very gently at first. And I like to say it uses the feather. So there's gentle signs, little feather duster here and there, right? And I had pain in my heels. I wasn't stretching. I wasn't doing yoga. I wasn't stopping to go. I wasn't stopping to do the thing that we recommend people to do is go in the
Yeah.
pain, which we'll talk about, but go in the pain. And I wasn't doing that. So you'll notice whenever something big happens, you have had many gentle signs before it occurs.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I challenge everybody, kind of look at if the last time you had an injury, or maybe you have a current injury, something's going on, just kind of go look at the thoughts, the words, the actions, the things that came up, subtle little hints, those whispers that you didn't listen to. I could track it back. I can easily track it back to my hip and other places where something happened. A lot of people think, oh no, these are accidents. They just happened. No, your unconscious mind, the whole system, the whole game we're playing in this matrix is being made up as we go in our unconscious mind without having these, or when we're getting these messages, we can avoid a lot of pain and a lot of heartache, but sometimes we need to hear it, right? And that really wakes us up. But we don't have to do that. So we can create better rituals of that. So what are, what do we want to talk about some of the strategies for that new hustle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think number one for me is stopping to feel pain. I cannot emphasize this, but stopping to feel physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, the whole gamut. I'm talking about feel your headache, feel your calf tension, feel your stomach growling, feel the pain in your relationship. What is that? But what does that mean to stop and feel the pain? Like, what does that actually mean? We want to cover that?
Yes. So, and I'll just preamble that with, generally speaking, people will feel that pain in 5 seconds can feel like a lifetime or like an hour, because emotions are so heavy when they're associated, right? So let's say I have a client working on a relationship, trying to win somebody back, trying to win a woman back that he hurt, that trust was lost. Now there's still love there. And instead of going right to the result, like trying to fix it, right? Fix the situation, we steered him towards going within and really be like, where is the pain? What caused your actions to hurt this relationship earlier on? And have him sink into that pain and that sadness that was already in him and was being projected on the relationship. So part of it is simply, when you're feeling pain, relationship, financial, business, productivity, you name it, health, that means literally slowing the F down, putting it in park, putting the keys away, turning off the phone, turning off the technology, turning off the Wi-Fi even is really good. Literally getting back to presence. And if you can be outside, be outside. But it is like getting in and leaning into the stillness that is within, first and foremost. And when you're feeling that thing, now we've talked about this before, whenever that pain is coming up, it's breathing with it. But then, like, if it's in the ribs, if it's over here on the side, finding it in your body, literally bringing all your attention there, feeling it, whatever emotions, whatever insights, images, pictures, anything else that's erupting out of that area, colors, literally just getting associated with it and feeling it, and then letting that rise. And actually, like, sometimes, and you've pointed this out plenty of times, literally just sitting with feeling it. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's longer, but you actually getting to feel it instead of it being unfelt. And like it's knocking at your door constantly there. So people can have that, oh, my rib pain. I just like my ribs broken, my ribs out. Like, or there's something that's knocking at the door that you're not listening to. So if you go feel that energy, feel that emotion all the way to completeness, when it's gone, it's amazing how that rib just goes right back to not hurting. So that's what we mean by leaning into the pain, just being with the pain. And pain is a gift. Pain is a messenger for us. Pain is valuable. We don't have to avoid it. In fact, we shouldn't avoid it. And I don't like to use should a lot. Anything to add to that description?
Yeah, that was a really, really great description. I think, like, at a deep level, just really understanding, because pain, let's understand, just make sure you bring the primitive brain centers into this, because we all have animal parts of ourselves that want to avoid pain. And I just really want to emphasize that. So when you hear us saying, or when we tell our clients, hey, we're going to go into the pain, that's not a natural instinct. That's a opposite of what our survival mechanism has told us to do. So survival does not say to go into pain. Survival says avoid pain, chase pleasure. But many of you have seen where chasing pleasure goes, in whatever form or fashion: food, sex, drugs, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. You'll notice it's always temporary. So if pleasure is temporary, so is pain. meaning both of them are illusions.
Yep.
So it's worth feeling the thing. It's an illusion anyway, but it's worth going in and feeling the thing that's going to always be temporary, because once you move through that temporary feeling, there are literally answers on the other side of dropping into the pain. And it's so amazing. And I think that's why, we're kind of talking about the old hustle of being busy. Like, you really get to start letting that go. I think, you can maybe vouch for this too, AJ, but I think I built my first my chiropractic office and the Amazon business and a coaching company. I built that off of hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And my current company, the Fast 40, I have not hustled. And I don't know if it's a masculine and feminine thing, or maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's just dropping into listening. But it is so much less effort to stop and listen to what life wants, because you end up having to sort of like redo things 2 or 3 times when you're just moving quickly versus doing it once, listening what it was supposed to be in the first place. Right.
Right. And part of this also is being in integrity with yourself. So I really feel like it's almost like lying to yourself if you don't listen to the pain. If the pain is there and you just keep going, you're going to be out of integrity with yourself. When like I really truly feel like emotions and this pain that comes up are literally, if we listen to them, it is a guide for how we can have an even better life, for us being on path with our true self. The avoidance of that then lets other things come in, and we're really off path at that time, off purpose. So these things don't have to get that painful, but I'll tell you, I've had recent pain in my life in many, many ways. And every time I avoided it, it came back and bit me in the ass, literally in different ways. But every time I leaned into it, I got a whole new perspective. And I tell you, the relief afterwards, it's like doing an hour and a half breath work with me, somatic breath work, which is one of the other reasons, other performance strategies we want to talk about. But like doing somatic breath work to get this stuff filled up in the body and feel it, the release, the crying, just cry more. The big tip is just cry more, release it, let it go. It doesn't mean you're an emotional wreck. It means you're actually healthy and emoting and letting this stuff out. So hypnotherapy, somatic breath work, even micro regulation tools like taking the deep breath in at the moment where like you're feeling stressed out, and just recentering yourself with some basic breaths and getting back into your body are all small ways where it's the new happy hustle, the new way of us getting in touch with our bodies and basically readjusting as we go through our day, as we're flying to our destination for the end of the journey of the day. Because there really is no end of the journey, but for the day, then that's just going to keep us regulated. I have example after example of successful men and women who were high performing, overworked, still either paid or underpaid, but like just hit levels of success, but didn't feel successful because they couldn't even enjoy it because they're just buzzing up here. And then once they learned some of these regulation tools and started actually leaning into it and making the new norm a hustle of health, that's when everything started shifting, and even more abundance and wealth came in from a physical standpoint. But then like they actually had the health to be able to enjoy it, to be present with it, to be present with other people. So being present with your body. And I want to have a thought that we can talk about here real quick. And that is, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your nervous system. If your nervous system is on high alert, if it's overworked, if it's constantly being used and you don't bring that down, you can set all the goals that you want to. Your nervous system is going to be sabotaging that. It's going to cause self-sabotage in your life to get you to slow down. That's why a lot of these pains happen. That's why a lot of these accidents can happen. So that's a kind of a nice high-level thought. Anything to add, Dr. Cody? Anything else to throw in here as last minute thoughts and feelings?
I love what you said. I think at some point we can chat more about the breath work, because I think that is, I've had profound experience with that. I think that breath work could be one way of getting someone to actually drop into the pain too, and actually being present in the moment. And I think that would be huge to actually, just discuss more about that. It was one of the last things you said. The quote. Mm-hmm. That is really interesting. We don't rise to the level of our goals. Rising to our goals feels like work, mm-hmm. right? And there's a natural regression into your nervous system. So I really want to say you have these, remember these two states of every human being, two states. You have parasympathetic and sympathetic.
Yep.
And when you live in your sympathetic state, you're building your life, but you don't realize you're destroying your body. That is literally the polarity of it. When you're in parasympathetic, you're building your body, you're destroying your life. It's funny how it works. So, but when you literally stay too much into that sympathetic building your life, your body breaks down and then you can't actually go back and build it. So I think that balance between the two is really inherently built within us. So
yeah,
whether you listen to it or not, life is going to make you follow it.
Yeah. And I like to think of it as, a lot of people say, oh, live a balanced life. Well, Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, authors of The One Thing, I love what they talk about here is, as opposed to looking at it as balance, it's counterbalance. For example, parasympathetic, sympathetic, this back and forth, this yes, balance of those two, but the act of it is actually counterbalancing them. So when the other is getting too much, if you even just like stand and then try to balance yourself with one leg, like I'm doing right now, what is your leg doing? If you're standing up, if you do this, if my right leg's up, my left leg is constantly what? Counterbalancing, right? All the little muscles in there are moving to keep me balanced, to keep me going. So it's not a balance thing. It's actually got stress on that side, but it's counterbalancing all of it. And then when I want to switch over to parasympathetic, now that's going to counterbalance. So I look at it as counterbalancing those two, that if you're going to grind and you're going to hustle and you're going to do all those things, have a set time for that. Then have the set time for the new hustle, the new healthy hustle, so that you can keep doing this and keep sustainable without as much pain, without as much struggle. We want path of least resistance. And that's what we're talking about today. So
great reference, man. That was great.
Yeah. That being said, Dr. Cody, as always, thank you for joining me. Again, Dr. Cody and I are getting ready to launch something together. These have been pretty popular. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from people, questions, comments, and we got something pretty special coming out soon. So we will be announcing that probably in a few weeks, I would say.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody.
All right, everybody, do your thing. Have a wonderful week. And then we're going to be back tomorrow around the same time, I think, right?
Tomorrow we're going to be in the evening at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard.
Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Okay, yeah. Wonderful. And then one of these, like maybe after tomorrow, we can do an actual 20-minute full breathwork one.
Yeah, that'd be good. I like that.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.